Hey there, my name is Mansavage, and this is my Unit 3 weather observation for my weather observation site in Wasilla, Alaska, located on the bluff of Fairview Loop, outlooking the Palmer Hayflats. This week was a little interesting for weather. Began with Monday and Tuesday being a little chillier. I did not observe those days. I began my observations on Wednesday and concluded today, Sunday. The overall lookout of the week was it got much warmer and ended today with slightly colder, but began with, like I said, pretty chilly on Monday and Tuesday, and slowly got warmer throughout the week. This also correlated with the pressure throughout the week. Began with higher pressures and ended with lower pressures by the end of the week. I get something else that was interesting to see was just the overall amount of daylight over the entire week that was seen from Unit 2 to Unit 3. There was quite a bit more daylight you could just see from during the evenings and in the mornings. So I'm going to show you here the location of my site just so you guys remember, and then I'll go on to explain the temperature observations and pressure observations for the rest of the week. Here's my location marked with letter A. This is a view from about the middle of Fairview Loop. For those of you that are semi-familiar with the Matanuska Valley, it's a pretty well-traveled road. Outlining the lake and Reedy Lake, Dinkle Lake is the bluff. You can kind of see the outline of trees, and that's kind of gives you a unique viewpoint to look out and observe the weather, especially the mountains in the distance. Here's a view from the greater south central area again. As you can see, the Chugach Mountains, the Talkeet Mountains, in the Alaska Range, all from my location. Pretty unique little location. So, but again, it was kind of neat to have the more light this week to see and observe a little bit more of the cloud cover and the actual details of the cloud cover, not just it was cloudy and overcast and whatnot. So I'm going to move on to my temperature observations for the week. Here's a quick look at what I recorded for the week of observations. As you can see, we'll go to the graphs of both the temperature and the pressure, but it's pretty obvious. You can see that the temperature and the pressure correlated with each other directly. Pressure obviously coming down greatly from the first day of observation to the last. I also went ahead and averaged the left and the right temperatures of the thermometer for the entire week, and that concluded with a temperature of 30.94 for the left thermometer and 30.69 for the right thermometer. So pretty close recordings. So that was good to see that I was seeing consistent results on both thermometers as well. You can see that the temperature range throughout the week was pretty steadily increasing as far as temperature from the beginning of the observation to the end, with obviously colder nights, but that's to be expected in Alaska. But it seemed that with the increase in wind, we also were seeing an increase in temperature as well as the pressure drop. So as of right now, I'd like to understand why those did that, but all I can do is correlate those three things. But there was no rapid temperature increases or decreases. Like I said, it obviously got colder at night, but there was no dramatic increase or decrease throughout the week. And this also went for a pretty consistent 24-hour period for the entire temperatures, as far as consistent throughout the week as far as temperature readings and whatnot. I'm going to move on to the temperature charts that give you an idea of how they very closely correlated. Here's our temperature chart based over time. As you can see, they both recorded very close to each other, which is a very good sign and very good for predicting and looking at an observation throughout a week. If we were having big changes in these two, then we would have problems, and it'd be hard to understand what was actually going on with the weather that week. So based on this, we can understand that over a 24-hour period of time, that the weather patterns seem to be pretty consistent with no dramatic changes. As far as, well, one thing that we always see in the valley is we'll see a dramatic drop in pressure, and then the wind will just come roaring in from the from the northeast, and those will be coming off the glaciers, and that's sometimes unpredictable, but that would be something that you would see a change in this temperature chart. So I'm going to move on to the pressure chart, and then you'll be able to see why I was saying it definitely came with a decrease in correlation with the air temperature. And as you can see, the pressure definitely did drop, as according to the chart, and as you can also see, there was no real rapid decreases. It was pretty gradual and pretty steady, so that also correlates with the seemingly accurate weather pattern that we seem to observe. Along with this, the wind did see some correlation with it, although we did see a pressure drop today. That would be Sunday the 3rd, but with no wind. It was completely calm today, so that was different. I don't know how to explain that. I'm going to go ahead and briefly discuss what the wind was for the week, and then I'm going to move on to the cloud observations. The wind began with Wednesday being calm, Beaufort scale number of 0. No wind actually throughout the day, not just during the observation. Thursday, though, picked up. Thursday was calm again with, again, 0 on the Beaufort scale, but it was that later that night that it picked up. And on Friday, we had a consistent 3-mile-per-hour wind from the east with a Beaufort scale of 1. That picked up to Saturday with 7 miles per hour wind coming from the southeast with the Beaufort scale number 2. And then today on Sunday, it drastically reduced earlier this morning, and we had 0 Beaufort scale with calm pretty much all day. Moving on to the clouds, this week was particularly partly cloudy with vague clouds of what we call the altostratus, or what I observed as the altostratus. But I'll begin with the beginning of the week. The beginning of the week started with clear skies with some altorocumulus in the southwest. This would be towards Anchorage. It never reached towards us, but they were observable from to the southwest. On Thursday, nimbostratus clouds were covering most of the sky for most of the day and during the observation. There was I'm having a hard time whether it's altostratus or the nimbostratus, but I believe it was a nimbostratus that day for sure. And then again on Friday there was the same. I believe it was a nimbostratus for most of the day. Saturday was clear skies for most of the day, but during the observation it seemed that there was some altostratus coming into view, and I believe that's what was the rest of the day until it got dark. And then today was full nimbostratus, from what I believe, throughout the entire day, with a little bit darker complexion to the clouds than before. We got no precipitation today, and actually not throughout the week. We got our precipitation on Monday and Tuesday. But other than that, there was really nothing else to as far as the cloud cover goes with precipitation. On Friday night, though, there was an unusual amount of fog and moisture from probably about 8 p.m. to whenever I went to bed. I can't remember, but probably around 12 or 1 o'clock. It was still really foggy out, and that was rather odd. Let's see. Overall, it was a good week of observations. It was interesting to see the barometric pressure correlate directly with the temperature increase and the increase in wind. That was something I seemed to have recognized prior to just living here for so long. Not so much the pressure, wasn't so familiar with the pressure, but I definitely saw, obviously the increase in temperature and wind, but I always heard that there was something to do with the pressure involved. So it'd be really interesting to see the facts and details of the pressure and the correlation of wind and higher temperatures throughout those observations. So thanks for listening. Thanks.